This is Wanna Go, a viewing for uh, Invitation to Suicide. Um, so, a brief introduction. Um, when I was in high school, I was, for my creative writing class for a project, I drew a cover of uh, for colored girls who considered suicide when the rainbow is enough. And it was the cover that has where the girl has a head wrap on and it's just one female on the cover. And I remember my creative writing teacher saying that you're never going to, amount to anything. Um, and I also recall repeating that experience to someone else. It was a wonderful discovery, as you can imagine, to learn upon, becoming more available to the knowledge of who I am and others, um, to know that that particular, what came out, that expression or that offense was not, did not equal, did match that particular teacher or instructor. Uh, so before I knew that, though, um, after college, I became involved with a theater company. And that theater company happened to produce for color girls who considered suicide when the rainbow is enough. Um, and so I was involved in that. And uh, that was what I was involved in. I did one character as the main character, and then another character I did one show. Um, upon learning, more information about, who I am with regards, like specifically who I am, with security and law, that is, with regards to the arts, and becoming involved with YouTube. That's when I did the YouTube version, and kind of snipped the title to just exclude suicide, and just include for colored girls. So essentially, I just stopped it for colored girls. But actually, I could simply just stop it at for colored. Would be what the more accurate title would be. So of course, it's my BT version for colored. Uh, so that is, suicide is definitely not specifically my responsibility. Um, you know, I've mentioned that I'm UN born, so there's a lot of different guidelines, even when it comes to certain behaviors. And again, the focus is something that an attribute or skill that my wife and I have, and that's behavioral therapy. Um, and part of having those guidelines when there's an issue or question regarding something like suicide, you want to know who to go to for it. And fortunately, we have those guidelines, but suicide is not specifically one that someone would come to me specifically about, or in Catherine Mourning, or any of these individuals with security and law that have been involved with this particular project that that's been titled "Wanna Go." So essentially, the titles come from, it's Invitation to Suicide. It's also sort of like, I guess with regards to my Catherine Mourning, it will be considered like a resume eligible, as opposed to actual contributions. So the um, that being said, the visual is not going to be available. The views will be though. Um, with Securing Law, the writing, who was listed as the writer, and I believe the director is not with Security and Law. So of course the focus is Catherine Morney. However, we'll be paying special attention to those with Security and Law that are relevant as well. And those include, let's see, Roman Maleko, who played Roman Maleko, the Manhattan Guy, the Brooklyn Kid, the Blonde Kid, the Bartender, Cop Number 2, the Bartender or Jennifer Smith, music, cinematography, art direction, second assistant director, props, sound design, boom operation, grip, assistant camera, and musician. So that accordion, bass, harmonica contribution. So we're using the web version. And the script supervising as well. So any of the other roles, and Eva, of course, but any of the other roles are excluded from this viewing. So again, that would be Eva, of course, Roman Maleki, Manhattan Guy, Brooklyn Kid, Blonde Kid, Bartender, Cop Number 2, Bartender, Jennifer Smith, and those additionals, music, cinematography, art direction, second assistant direction, prop, sound, boom operation, grip, assistant camera, and then that accordion, bass, harmonica musicians. So when it's something like Invitation to Suicide, you want to know what you're going into, and when it's something like that, when it's relative to psyche and psychology and behavioral therapy, you also want not only just know what you're going into, but you want to be familiar with the psyche, the psychological makeup of the contributors. And essentially we don't want to just go by, oh, well, you need to give us a psych evaluation. Everyone in this project needs to have a psych evaluation. So go to this, doctor and mail that to us or fax it to us or bring it to us in person. And then we're like reading over your psych evaluation. It's important for us to know and not go just from, someone saying, this about a person who has no idea who they are with Security and Law. So it's one to go, and the viewing for Invitation to Suicide. So I've never seen this before. This is my very first time. You know, most of these I don't. You know, even though you can be familiar with someone and their psyche, uh, don't I don't will also be finding out what they actually look like, but that's not going to be the focus. The focus is going to be how it's relevant to um, you know, Catherine Morning, and if the contribution has a connection to my contribution to this idea, um, if it's you know, complementary, um, essentially, or how is it complementary, or we're going to show and prove that it is. So the bathtub scene. So I guess the question is, why the bathtub scene? Let me see here. Okay, so the bathtub scene. Um, I guess the quick thing that stands out to me, because you definitely want to address like those write down things, and it seems like that's a right now thing. So um, you don't want, I guess for that it's important just to not support um, the, not even just the belief of something not with reality, you know, attempting to you know, take a life, but uh, to not open the opportunity for something that that is not supposed to be in a certain um, setting, having the ability to, you know, giving it the opportunity to be in a certain setting, I guess is what really stands out um, in that particular situation. Um, and I guess also um, I'm not, I guess the question is, was that particular type of abuse um, authorized or approved by props, would be my first question. Because if it was not approved that yes, you can go there, within what I have, you can go there. In this particular situation, if that wasn't approved, then, it's not something that, like that, you know, attitude that I'm going to go ahead and do this regardless of what, and I don't need approval for this from some props person. Because essentially that's the only representative that you have, then, if that was the attitude, then that's not something that could be supported as a contributor. So normally, if you've seen any of my live broadcasts or viewings, I typically don't stop and start. But for this one, I'm going to stop and start when I feel a need, because it is resume eligible. It's not a contribution. And again, part of that is just knowing who you are and um, what you have, you know. So that's going to be me. Is Ava a butcher or a meat cutter, meat packer? So I'm thinking, like, what is that, Catherine is laying on? I guess is what I'm wondering. Right about now. So I guess now I'm wondering, is it difficult to include? I guess when I'm thinking about cinematography, is it difficult to include cinematography when they are actual, like, um, you know, when there are other situations going on? Um, is that something difficult to put on the film? I mean, to put in the item, or not? Or does it have to be solely all cinematography? Um, doing to like have that. So that was, I want to, okay, so that must have been cop number one. So I guess we'll wait for cop number two. And one other thing, I didn't, let's see, I didn't look to see what a grip is. So let's see what it says about a grip, because evidently we contributed to whatever a grip is in this. A grip and a grip. Oh, here we go. So it says grips are lighting and rigging technicians. They constitute their own department and are directed by a key grip. They have two main functions. The first is to work closely with the camera department to provide camera support, especially if the camera is mounted to a dolly crane or an unusual position. And some specialize in operating camera cranes, camera dollies. The second main function of grips is to work closely with the electrical department to create lighting setups necessary for a shot under the direction of the director of photography. They, in some places, they are not involved in lighting at all. It says union jobs, the grips don't touch the lights themselves. It's handled by electricians. They handle all of the non-electrical equipment that modifies the light. And the work is done by setting standards that hold flags, nets, and other things. They may also be called on to set negative field, which is the reduction of ambient or non-directional light, such as ambient sunlight, to raise contrast on the subject. It's achieved by solids made of black fabric, etc., etc. It says day exteriors. The sun is usually the primary light source. Okay, so that's a grip. Alright, so we're at 1:15 to go of it. Okay, so I guess I'm assuming so the other mallet. So another, I guess, you know, situations when it comes to, um, character and having responsibilities with regards to what we have in terms of public identity. Part of that includes, certain situations, and I guess that's something that it's just something to be careful about when it comes to different characters, because if a character isn't supposed to, like, if a character, if it's not ideal for a character to be exposed to something, to be exposed to a situation. It's not like you're putting the wool over that person's eyes, or trying to like overprotect them from like the real world, of violence and shystiness and cutthroatishness and toughness and those perspectives. Um, but just kind of nurturing the authenticity of who they are and appropriateness of character and setting. Um, so I guess now I'm wondering, can the like cinematography, you know, can you include the cinematography when there's like a situation going on? If it is, if, well, not if, but, being born, it will be very interesting to, like, view the art direction. And when I mean born, I mean like born in terms of like, marriages born. I'm thinking that probably was not her art direction, because of the blend attempt. So where would I put my cinematography? That I'm thinking about that question right now. Um, so it's like when you have to be present within the whole thing. Well, I was just in it for like 20 minutes, but it's still important to understand how you relate to the entire 1 hour and 25 minutes or 1 hour and 45 minutes, so that that entire viewing experience is essentially, you know, it's not like, oh, well, I can go use the bathroom, get some popcorn or something, and come back to see you. Um, but just knowing you, uh, knowing who you are that entire time, and how it relates and interacts with the other representatives is very important. So something like an improper title like "Invitation to Suicide" doesn't be like, oh gosh, like I'll never get a job. So I guess like the script supervising, right about now. Um, why now? Is it the blacklist relevant? Is it blacklist relevant? I'm wondering. Because I don't see Chris on here. I guess what it's showing is that when it says something like art direction, to not assume that the art direction is being shown like 100% of the time. Then I guess I'm thinking like, what are those caskets? What are they made of? Like certain commonalities with the setting, um, things of that nature. Um, what do you do when people don't know exactly where they are and they assume that this is, when they don't know exactly where they are, and you can't like make it be something that it's not. That's why it's important to everyone to be, even if they're not security and law, to just still be of that like mind, and not be against security and law. Excuse me. seemed like this could have been like an opportunity to like put in some cinematography. How? Uh, I don't know. That is like appearing to be like like an hallucination. Uh, I don't know. Yeah, I haven't gone to school for cinematography. How would I know? So for some reason, I'm thinking like the sound designer. You know, the sound design, of course, doesn't include the sound in terms of the words, but So it looks like it's in like a business district or something, um, as opposed to being like residential. Um, so I guess like those little details. You got the bakery on the right, uh, and that's what's really like jumping out, as opposed to the businesses on the left. The automobiles, uh, driving, parked automobiles. So they put sound in it. It's like, but that looks so. But it looks so artistic. Um, it must be the art direction, but you know, you don't want to attach something, oh, just to look artistic to the art direction if that art direction, if that is not characteristic of that art director. I don't think I want to get through all of this. It's like 42 minutes. Um, so I think we want to stop in maybe like 30 something, um, and then finish up the remaining 30 minutes. See how I feel. Um, So now I'm wondering, is that like cinematography that I'm viewing right now? We're at 39:29. Because when do you use cinematography and when do you use like natural resources? And you definitely don't want to. You want to actually be technical, and not like Houdini or something like magic or something. So that's 37:20 that we're stopping it at. Um, pick it up maybe tomorrow. Um, maybe the same time, maybe not. I don't know, maybe 12 noon, maybe, who knows. But I'll post it to Twitter and Facebook when we will when I'll view the remaining amount, the remaining. Um, so why 2002, 2004? Why, before I knew such and such and such, and before after morning was suicide, the topic of suicide presented to myself, or Catherine Morning. What is the connection? What is the relevancy? Um, as you know, I have security. So that's a very important element to be of that mentality, that to be of those proper behaviors to fulfill the responsibilities that we have with regards to security, especially when it's not just who I am or who Captain Morning is. When it's like, yeah, who we are, but when they are, like, all these different contributors, that was contributing to what was an invitation to suicide, or invitation to a suicide. When you have responsibilities that include other people, and when it's not like a specific number, when it's not like, oh, you can say you have a staff of 50 or a staff of 200, when it's like an infinite number, it becomes very important to be clearly separated from that which is not security, and that happens to be suicide. Um, so, uh, fortunately, because of those, certain guidelines that have been put in place, um, suicide has been excluded, so that for the purposes of being effective, um, and with regards to um, what we have, and to be clear about something like suicide, and being able to clearly know and not just think, but to be or doubt, being able to have someone doubt that what if this is, but to clearly know that who we are here, um, is not suicide, that we do not have suicide, that without a shadow of a doubt, we do not have we are not specifically suicide. Um, the suicide issue, you know, um, that's why there's specific people, like precinct has a department for burglaries and robberies, so kind of along those lines, having specified um, people for, when it comes to mental health, that suicide would be like that behavioral type, um, situation. So having specific people knowing where this situation is. So of course, it's not something that we can give. We wouldn't like knowingly give that to someone. It's like anything with security, which is why we have security in law to hold those situations that we have close to us and have them be secure, so that I just want to go and just try to do this in yours, and I was able to do this in yours, or like there's really no interest in there for someone to be like, oh, well, we're trying to see how far we can go with regards to your security, or when this department or this team don't know this particular protocol, this particular guideline, how far can we go in it? What can we do? And then when you are like have issues like being like born marriages, being careful and clear about those areas, so that there's no friction or problems with regards to peace and conflict. Because essentially, if that is what we stand for, peace and security, it's what, when something is who you are, it's who you are. Um, it's like anything. It's who you are. It's who you are. You can put some type of dye or color here, but it's still going to be who I am. It's not like it's going to magically grow, in like that, because this is who I am. So it's just like peace. If that's who you are, it's who you are. And so if you have that contribution, that attribute, of course, it naturally is going to, people are going to feel protected, because it's not just, it's essentially you are a part of a whole, and that, attempting to come between it or disrupt it, it impacts other people. And so, naturally, that inclination to protect that will be present and available. So, that's the connection, and that is why suicide. It has nothing to do with where everyone just we caught them at a bad time, and we could always use this and turn and be like, oh, you need to get admitted into a psychiatric hospital or something because you were a part of this project. the importance, the relevancy of it is who we are with security, and it was important to distinguish um, security from suicide. So we'll continue on with this. Anyway.